Hey, everybody. This episode is brought to you by our proud title sponsor, NHL Sense Arena, the next generation of off-ice hockey training for players and goalies. Look, we know how much you invest in your children's hockey development, the early mornings, the travel, and let's not forget the expenses of training for hockey camps, private ice time, the general expenses of the season. It's a lot. But wouldn't it be great to bring that on-ice practice experience home that's fun, fits into your schedule, and that's affordable? If you said yes, which I'm sure you did, you've got to check out NHL Sense Arena. It's a top-tier virtual reality training game that brings the on-ice practice experience home so you can practice anytime and anywhere, literally. You can transform any part of your home into a virtual ice rink where you're getting unlimited access to over 100 drills, training plans from top coaches and players, weekly drill challenges, and more that focus on improving hockey sense and physical cognitive skills, starting at just $33 per month. That is a lot cheaper than an hour of ice time. The physical side of hockey gets a lot of attention, but we don't focus enough on the mental side of it. It's something we talk about on this show all the time. NHL Sense Arena provides an immersive solution for players to sharpen those skills when ice time is limited or not affordable and they want to get those extra reps in. So, for our listeners, NHL Sense Arena is offering an exclusive $50 off their annual plan. All you got to do is head over to their website, hockey.sensearena.com. Again, hockey.sensearena.com, and use our code HOCKEYNEVERSTOPS, and you'll level up your off-ice training by using NHL Sense Arena. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for supporting us and NHL Sense Arena. Enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome back to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey in the summer, because today's topic is all about summer camps and how to find where your kids should go. There's so many options: skills camps, skating camps, checking camps, goalie camps, fun camps, 15 ice slots a day with off-ice topics and things to go on. Where should you send your kid to camp? And this is all spawning because of a letter we got, which I'm going to share with all of you right now. It's very nicely written. I'm going to say this one's from Andrew. We don't give last names. He says, "Good morning, Lee, Christy, and Mike." It's almost like he knows that we do this in the morning. I put this question on Facebook, but I also wanted to send it to you too. My son is going to be a first-year 12U next season. He's a former goalie, likes offense, loves defense. It sounds like he loves hockey. With summer fast approaching, a lot of hockey camps are pushing for registration for their summer camps. Taking cost out of the equation, what do you all look for in a summer hockey camp? I would love to hear your thoughts. That is a great question, and it is the time of year when we're airing this that's probably on a lot of minds of a lot of different people. Who wants to start?
Well, first of all, make sure your kid wants to do it. That's really important. You need to ask them, because what you think is good for them might not be what they want to do. And if they're not into it, and you're spending all this money on a summer camp, and that's the last place they want to be, you're wasting
Christy,
your time.
Are you
wasting
saying
your money
that a kid might not want to do 12 weeks of power skating? Is that what you're trying to say right now?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. We were lucky because, my kids wanted to do it. They just love doing summer camps to a point. They didn't want it to, we still went on vacations. We made it work, and nothing terribly intense. They didn't want to make it feel like it was hockey year round, but just enough just to kind of keep their skills sharp. And they just love hanging out with their buddies on the ice. It was usually a more relaxed. We never, when they were little, we didn't do anything intense. It was always camps that also blended fun.
Right.
And the coaches would even take them out in the parking lot, and they would do, hockey outside. They would do other fun things, especially when they're young. It can be really valuable for you because it gives you a place to take your kids, keeps your kids out of the house and off the video games. Wonderful. And they're with their buddies. Win-win. So when they're little, it can be a great experience for them. As they got older, Sophia looked for those more intense camps as she was getting ready to play college hockey. So that's a different animal. But I'll let Mike jump in because he's the camp expert here.
He's a camp director. He's a camp director, Mike.
Camp director Mike. Well, I'll pitch my camps in a little bit, but so basically, I think there's a couple of things, and Christy hit on a lot of them. That number one is are you looking for a day camp or like a skills camp? If you're looking for a day camp and you're just looking for a camp where the kids are going to have, maybe 2 hours of ice, they're going to do a lot of stuff on the field. Maybe there's a swimming pool involved. Is it sleepaway? Is it day camp? It all depends on this sounds like a 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid probably handle a good sleepaway camp if they really want that. But then you got to look at the intensity. I always fall to, anytime I'm working with parents, of a player that wants to improve. Like not just a day camp, like a player that doesn't want just the experience. Like, Christy's daughter came with us to do a hockey school in Norway, right? And it was less about the intensity of the camp than it was about the experience of the camp, right? So it was a little
phenomenal,
different.
By the way. Highly recommend that to every young girl out there.
We love it. Yeah. But again, it was more about the cultural piece than it was about I remember talking to Christy back then. It wasn't even like, well, are they going to work on power skating? Are they going to work on this? It wasn't that. It was really all about, well, this is what they're going to do. They're going to learn a little Norwegian. They're going to eat some Norwegian food. They're going to see Oslo. And so, so all of that kind of stuff comes into place. And I think you can look for that. I know here in the Northeast, like a lot of kids go to like West Point Hockey School, or if you're in, or all the Minnesota hockey camps. If you go to those things and it's a day camp experience, it's probably something different than maybe what you're looking for. So you got to research that. To Christy's point, what does you and your son or daughter want out of the camp? And I always lean towards, especially when the kids get older, try to find something that has longevity in it. Like not just a camp. Like 5 days is not going to get you better in the long run. It's not going to change habits. It's not going to create a different player most of the time. So looking for like the long-term piece of that, like look for camps. I know, like the camps that I run, we don't like, I've gotten out of running camps where it's just you come on Monday, you leave on Friday. The camps that I run now are like an immersive experience of, there's a pre-camp discussion. There's 3 or 4 pre-camp phone calls and homework and preparedness. And when you come to camp on Monday, we know you, we know what you want, we know what we're going to do, you know what we're going to get out of you. And then when you leave, there's follow-up, right? And to me, that's like, I'd rather see a parent pay more money with less kids and more instruction than a little bit of money or pay a fee with 70, 80, 90 kids on the ice, even if it's a skills camp, and never get any really individualized instruction or looks, or, it all depends on your kid. If you just want reps, then join. There's a million camps to get reps in. But if you want real, if you're like this person's son is going from goalie to playing now defense, really loves defense. Then you want to go to a defensive specialist camp, like Mike Weaver's Defense First at the Harvey School in August. But if you're looking for like daily camps, then there's a ton of those. And I think at the end of the day, if you have like a 9, 10, 11-year-old kid and they're a little nervous, they don't meet friends well. And we've talked about this before, Christy, right? Like go to a camp with a couple of friends, find a way to, and I would tell you this too. If you went to, I went to Howie Meeker Hockey School back in the day in Potsdam, New York, at Potsdam State College. And I would have never went as an 11-year-old ever. Right. If it wasn't for like the 4 guys I went with. But you know what? I met 50. Like, so it was, so I had that comfort of being away for the first time in my life. But I also had the fact that I could fall back on friends. And you know what happened? Those friends had other friends, and we became, and all of a sudden you have different pods of kids. And, some of the kids that were at the camp were better than me. So they got put in a different group, and I ended up being in the crappy group. So, but those kids were just as nice. They're 11 years old or 11-year-olds. And I think that's where, look for that experience, embrace the time you have for the summer. Again, if you're looking for real skill development, look for a program that gives you, 8 or 9 weeks of development, as opposed to 5 days with 2 hours a day. I don't think it translates very well without the follow-up and the pre-workout.
Are there sites that parents can go to where there's reviews or ratings or anything?
Well,
like
USA
that?
Hockey does a great job of summer camp guide. They do. Okay. I think they still do it. They have a really great summer camp guide, and not only in the magazine, right, but online now, or the online version. But it's a really good, I think, starting point. Now, I understand a lot of that is paid into, but there's a starting point. You know what? And if you could pay for a camp and be able to afford to do that, you're probably doing pretty well anyway.
Right.
So it's just a matter of looking and saying, well, and I think, we've said this even at every level of hockey, ask a teammate, ask another parent. You heard somebody went to camp. Hey, what do you think about that camp? Oh, you loved it, but the food was horrendous. Like, so if you go there, make sure you're packing food. Or I had to go there on Wednesday because nobody changed my kids' sheets for, whatever. I don't know. Or there's no laundry service. Like if you're at a sleepaway camp, all those little things make or break your experience in a hockey camp. And again, a lot of it's
always ask the coach kid ratio, because we were duped into one camp where, I know we had even asked, what's the coach kid ratio? And they didn't tell us that they were using high school kids and not, certified coaches.
Yeah, it was a day camp. It was just like we
were a little disappointed because at that point the kids wanted to learn some skills from certified coaches, and they weren't, and they didn't. So really ask some tough questions like, well, who are your coaches? And, how many kids per coach? And what level are they? What skill level are the coaches? Those are really good questions to ask too. Yeah.
And I just want to say one thing too, Lee, when you're setting this up, because I've been doing this with players right now, like the summers and late spring and summer are really great times to negotiate with ice rinks and say, listen, I want 2 hours a week on this time at this rink. And then you go out and get 6 or 8 kids and you make your own camp experience. You find, to Christy's point, you go out and find that coach you love, that college guy that's home, college girl that's home. Like if it was me and I had, Sophia Burns around for the summer and she was looking for extra work, and it's a hell of a lot better than, babysitting. Like you say, listen, I want you to take my 10 girls and I want you to train them for 8 weeks. And I want all of the things that you've learned over your experience. And I'm going to pay you a premium for that. So between ice time and again, you're in my part of the country here in the Northeast, and certainly in Fairfield County and Westchester, you probably need maybe more than 10, maybe you need 12, 13 kids to make the ice, palatable, it's $6.25 an hour. But if you're up in, Syracuse, New York, you're probably going to get ice for like $250, $300 in the summer. And to take that, divide it by 6 or 7 kids, pay a college kid to work with your players and say, we want, and then come up with a syllabus. And, that's what I do every day for right now, college, especially in lacrosse. I do it all the time. Like kid comes home from school. I say, here's 6 players. Why don't you work them out all summer and you work with them? And here's the specific things they need. And let me tell you something. It is like the best experience those kids have. And it's so cheap for them. They can miss week 1 or 2 because they're going away, or they're going, they're going away to a different camp, or like, so it's not a burden on the group that if 1 or 2 kids miss, it doesn't hurt. And financially, it's a great ROI. So there's thinking about other ways to look at the camp experience is really, really important because at the end of the day, you're the consumer and you can create that environment you want. It doesn't always have to be, plug and play.
Yeah, Mike,
that's a great idea.
It is, and it's funny you bring it up, and I don't mind talking about this on the air because I've been kind of courted about doing that with several families in the off season. I'll tell you what, when I was in college, I definitely did it. In fact, I looked forward to the summer to have the opportunity to teach. I didn't realize then that was an early sign I was probably going to end up as a coach, because at that time in my mind I was still an athlete. I was just helping other kids. But I think that if you do a small group, you can make that insanely fun. And it doesn't even have to be on the ice, right? You can be doing an off ice camp for kids to get out in the sunshine and just play and have some fun being competitive in a kind of a safe off ice environment. I'm not against on ice either. But look, for this episode, guys, I'm actually more of a listener than a talker. My kids are young. I can tell you these things that I've recognized. My son just signed up for his second year of the goalie doctor camp, which, Mike, is a 1 week camp with our friend Matt Tendler, who's actually going to be on our next episode of Our Kids Play Goalie. But this is why he's going back. One is last year he ended it with, hey, I love this. I love hockey. 2, from a goaltending standpoint, I think what he really loved, the instruction is first class. So that's first off. So he definitely learned something last year. But you know what he said to me that was, it kind of puts it in perspective for you as a parent. I met all these other goaltenders, and now when I play in a game, I know most of the time who the other goaltender is because I went to camp with that kid, which is really cool to hear, right? Especially at his age, 10, 11 years old, that there's a camaraderie here. And look, goaltenders, a little bit of a different operation there in hockey, right? There's a different camaraderie there and a different understanding of the game. So I signed him up for that, but I also signed him up for a day camp away from hockey. And for my daughter, who's 7, this is the first year she's shown interest in potentially going to a hockey camp. And I know for her, it like you guys said, it's got to be a fun kind of event. It's not just about skill development yet. I'm going to reiterate what I've said in several episodes. If you have an older kid that's looking for skill development, that's great too, if they want to do that. But as Christy said, as Mike said, court around, look around, see what's going on there. See if you can find something specialized. I think I would recommend that to high-level athletes. But one of the best things, I have to say this, and it was you two that guided me through this. One of the most important and best decisions I've made thus far in coaching youth hockey, which I've been doing for about 5 years now, so I can say this, is we take the spring off.
Good.
It's almost a non-negotiable for now. It might change later in the future, but I'm going to tell you, parents, yes, I have FOMO of every kid's doing spring league. I want my kids to do spring league. I feel that, their skills might take the spring off if you can. I'm telling you, it was the best decision. You start to realize how much you need that break, not just your kids. 2 is it's healthy for your kids to maybe be off the ice for a little bit, both from a healing standpoint, but also a mental standpoint, right? They're not going to lose their skills over the spring, right? And whatever they do lose, because you always lose a little bit, they're going to get back in 2 weeks when they get back on the ice, right? So I'm kind of making the point here of be careful with year-round hockey, all right? Again, if your kid is severely driven, I get it. I was that kid. I didn't ever want to come off the ice. But I'm telling you, it's okay to take a break. It is okay for you to play baseball, lacrosse, soccer. Get outside when the sun is up. These are okay things to do. You don't have to do a full summer of hockey camp. You can do a month or a week in some situations, Mike. I do agree with you that your expectations have to be very clear if you're doing that, right? But it doesn't have to be all hockey all the time for the betterment of your kids' hockey development. Especially if you're trying to make a team. I mean, there's so many FOMO reasons, the fear of missing out, if anybody doesn't know what that means, for you to choose something. And I would say, don't make the decision on that, right? Because there's no magical hockey camp that you go to, including USA Hockey's hockey camp for the U18 national team. There's no magic camp that guarantees you anything, right? But the summer's a time to have fun. Am I right? Am I right in my assessment?
You're 100%. I love grabbing the lawn chair, grabbing my iced tea,
right.
Watching the kids with my sunglasses out in the lacrosse field.
Is it iced tea though, for real, Christy? Is that what's in the cup?
No sugar.
No sugar.
Sugarless iced tea.
Mike, what are you drinking? No, I'm just kidding. I want to know.
But wow, instead of the hot coffee, the hot cocoa,
right,
in the ice rink, it was nice to totally switch gears. It was beautiful. Right. Yeah.
You know, another thing as a coach, I should mention this too, and Mike, I can throw this back at you too, in a good way. Like, there's something beautiful for me in watching my kid play a sport that I know very little about. Yeah. It is impossible for me to watch hockey and not think about what I'm seeing, right? But when I go watch them play a game that I don't like, I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't know the game. I don't know how to coach the game. Christy, you're right. I do sit back and like, this is fun. Yeah. This is so fun. Look how much fun the kids are having. You just forget about that when you're coaching.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a good mental break for you too. Definitely.
Mike, what's the coach you most want to watch? What's the sport you both most want to watch and not coach?
Yes, that's the problem with me. I'm not good at that. I'm horrible at that. I'm like, you could roll your wrist better. If you would have a better backhand there, you could hit the ball over the net better, or the way you're holding your hands here, or where the lacrosse stick is. I get too crazy about that kind of stuff. Like I'm a fundamental guy. Like I've watched so many sports now. Listen, I just posted a video last week of a BMX biker doing balance drills on a sidewalk and using their outside and inside edges to simulate what I look for on the ice. Because I'm trying to get the kids to understand, like, this is not a BMX biker, a motorbike, like a motocross. And this guy doing all these tricks, going on his front, back wheel, back spinning, turning. I'm like, that's what you do in hockey. It's the same momentum. It's the same movement. So I look at sports, unfortunately, a lot different, because I look at it as, oh, I could do that better than that. I mean, that's not even a good way to teach that. That's not even fundamentally correct. That's not. I will say I'm strong. I have a strong enough. I don't go and say anything. I don't. And I can bottle it up pretty good. And I don't tell my kids, hey, the coach was teaching you wrong. I don't do that. but I do I watch other coaches coach. I'm like, oh, this could be so much more fun. Like, why wouldn't you do it? Like, why wouldn't you make this much funner? Like, why do you really think hitting a ball to 7 short stops in a row is fun? Like, do you think the kids are getting something out of that? I don't. And I can see it because, like,
I still have those thoughts. I just, in the summertime, I just go, I'm going to drink.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but I'm like, listen, if you're going to do it, if you're going to be in it, then be the best. Like learn what the hell you're doing. So,
there's a standard. So that, Mike, real quick, because we got to get. You and I, and Christy, you too, we have extremely high standards with our professional work.
Absolutely.
Right? Sometimes I have to remind myself, this person's a volunteer, and this is not their job like it is for us, right? And it's not easy, but I have to remind myself, like, hey, they're volunteering,
right.
and then you got to follow your own advice or hypocritical. Like, if I think I can do it better, I got to volunteer and go coach. So Mike coaches 17 sports. Look, to end this, Mike, I think this is what we need to do. Christy, you tell me if you agree. We got to make a new team and a new show called Our Parents Play Pickleball. All right. And we're going to make a pickleball team. And what we'll do is we'll bring in a licensed therapist to be on the team, to play pickleball with us, if you know what I'm trying to say. But Mike, Mike, I get it. I get what you're saying. I think it's important to turn that off or push those feelings aside sometimes to make sure you get a break too.
No doubt about it. I think that's what's fun about watching the kids do. Like, I will say, when I watch my younger son play chess, there's where I draw the line. Like, I'm like, okay. I don't know what the hell you just did. Like, I don't even know how you won. Like, I don't even know how you did it. So,
are they use either inside and outside edges?
Right. I don't. That is where I draw. I do cooking class and chess and things like that. I tend to say, you know what, you're the professional. My son hasn't lost a finger, and he hasn't done this, so I'm good. But on overall, though, step back. Please take a break. Have some fun. Breathe a little. I was gonna say grass, but I guess you can't even say that anymore. But just be in a really good. Get outside, get some sun, get some vitamin D. There's just to all your rink owners out there. We want the kids to go into the rink. Yes, we want them to use their ice. Yes, we want them, but it just doesn't have to be 24/7. The competition. Right. And just make it as fun as it is when you go to the playground.
Well, and I think to close this out is a great question from Andrew. Thank you so much for being a listener.
For sharing that with us.
We love
Andrew. If you live in Westchester County, give me a call.
Again, like Andrew, you can email us as team@ourkidsplayhockey.com if you have any topics you want us to talk about. But look, in closing, I think that it's about finding that healthy balance. This is what I've observed from listening to you two. Finding that healthy balance of, what is it you need as a family? What does your kid want in a summer camp? And then realistic expectations about where they go. And at the end of the day, look, it's so much about what your kid is going to put into it, not what they're going to receive. It's a two-way road. If your kid wants to learn, my favorite quote, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You can put your kid in the top hockey camp in your area. If the student's not ready, they're just going to go, they're going to do the drills, and they'll be done. And that's it. But if they can retain the information, love that information, I think there's the rub, right? That's where you got to get your mind on it. That's going to do it for this edition. Again, you don't have anything else to say, guys, right? I am timing this out correctly.
I hope we answered Andrew's question, and we appreciate. We've got more questions. Throw them at us. We're ready for them.
Absolutely. Again, team@ourkidsplayhockey.com, or you can find our Facebook group, Our Kids Play Hockey. You can DM us. You can send an audio message. You can write it. Whatever it is, get those questions over because we love discussing them here at Our Kids Play Hockey. That's going to do it for this episode. For Mike Bonelli and Christy Casciano Burns, I'm Lee Elias. You can see us on the next episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Skate on, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, ourkidsplayhockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at whenhockeystops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.